Local and live, covering Franklin and Washington counties, it's Let's Talk Tri-State with Tiny and Katy.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Tri-State, powered by Home Right Windows and Doors in Waynesboro, the right choice, winner of the 2024 Best of the Tri-State Award.
Our next guest today, we have Addie Nardi, who is the CEO of Washington County Boys and Girls Club. I want to tell you first, before we get started here, that shirt in your eyes is perfection.
Well, thank goodness. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Have you heard that before when you've worn that shade? Doesn't it?
No.
It's perfection.
Someone that really notices those things.
I appreciate that.
I thought that when I was putting your mic on. I thought, oh my goodness, that shade is just perfect
And
for
you
you.
said
Thank
you
you.
weren't prepared.
I was not prepared. Yeah, I was not.
I'm not buying it.
Please.
Sell it somewhere else, Addie. Ain't gonna go here.
Now, I know we've had different conversations in the past with different members of the Boys and Girls Club. So for someone who is very green and they don't know, what is the Boys and Girls Club?
So Boys and Girls Clubs are basically out of school time providers. So we're not necessarily daycares, but we are a space where kids can come to after school in the summer, et cetera. And really, we provide programming and we provide just a place for kids to be able to come and just be kids, right? So there is a much more formal mission statement. I can literally never remember the mission statement.
That's perfect because that
Yeah.
leads into a lot of other questions that I have for you. What are some of the activities that you organize for the kids in the Boys and Girls Club?
So in Washington County, so there's one up in Franklin County, there's one in the Eastern Panhandle. I mean, we're everywhere, right? We're all individual nonprofits, so we have our own boards of directors, we have our own 501c3 designations. And so each club has the ability to do their own programming, but really there are programs that we're given from Boys and Girls Clubs of America that is vetted and the curriculum is written, and so we don't have to do that. So the programs that we run at the club right now are programs that are geared towards a couple different things. First of all, helping our kids become productive adults. So we run a program called Passport to Manhood, where boys who might not have a father figure at home or whatever, can learn the appropriate way to date, the appropriate way to look for a job, the appropriate way to tie a tie. It's a variety of things.
That's great.
That is wonderful.
Yeah, it's a good program.
The fact that someone had the forethought
Yeah.
to say, this is they're missing out on this, because how important it is to have just like and I'm sure I shouldn't say I'm sure there's probably a similar program for girls.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
Okay.
There sure is.
Getting ready for prom dresses and how to deal with everything that comes with being a young lady. I think it's wonderful. And
we've also, especially since COVID, we have started to look at programming that's very kind of social emotional wellness specific, right? So we saw coming out of COVID that especially our kids, because most of the kids that come to the club come from more lower income families, so they were hit differently, right, during COVID. So we just saw the kids coming back with a lot of behaviors and a lot of trauma and stuff like that. And so we also run programming that's kind of focused around that social emotional wellness piece.
I don't think a lot of people. I don't think a lot of people realize that, because, and I know Katy knows this. When I worked in education, it was the case as well. And until you just said that, it didn't dawn on me about COVID. There were a lot of kids from those types of situations and a less than favorable home life who coming to school was their escape from that.
Yes.
And COVID robbed them. Because everything was online learning. So to your point, I can't imagine what that would have done to the psyche of those kids. Wow.
Yeah. So, and then of course when the kids, they're not going to come if it's not fun. So we have 4 traditional clubs in Washington County and 2 school programs. And then we have some smaller counties farther out west. But our 4 traditional clubhouses in Washington County all have gyms, basketball gyms. So lots of sports, lots of running, lots of games, toys, and then our kids are fed through a partnership with Washington County Public Schools. So you get them in for the fun, you give them a little bit of programming, and you hope you make a difference in their lives. And put some food in their bellies. Yeah.
What are the ages of the kids that you service?
So we serve 6 to 18-year-olds. We have specific teen programming, and then we have programming geared towards the littles.
Is there a fee that's associated with enrolling your student?
So every club is different. At our club, by and large, we don't charge. Like if you come to like the clubhouse that we're rebuilding right now, like you pay like $10 a month to go there. And then if you take our vans, we might charge you $5, but we have agreements with Hagerstown Housing Authority, Washington County Public Schools, and then our entities farther out west that we don't charge. So
the programming isn't in the school. It's at a separate location.
So we have 2 programs that are running in schools right now, and then we have 4 traditional club sites.
I apologize.
No, it's fine. It's confusing. And we've been growing and changing a ton. And so there's a lot of different stuff going on.
Do they both go, do both programs, regardless of location, terminate at a certain time each day at the same time?
No, every club's different because in Washington County, 3 of our clubhouses operate in Hagerstown Housing Authority communities. So really, I just kind of let it up to the unit director of each site as to how they want to run their hours. They know what hours their kids need most. Mm-hmm. By and large, they're all done by like 7 at the latest.
Oh wow!
But yeah, but it's really we try to treat every community and every clubhouse like they are. Like they're different because they are.
Franchising,
independently
run.
Yeah. So it does. I mean, it doesn't matter to me when they close if it's, I'm not making money off the kids anyway. So we have to fundraise for everything we do regardless. So if they want to stay open a little later, I don't have a problem with it.
Staff is willing.
And if the staff is willing to, yeah.
When the students get older, like let's say you have someone who has been in the Boys and Girls Club of Washington County from 7 to 18. As they get older, will they do different activities with the younger kids as like a mentor role or anything like that?
Yeah, we do. So I'll tell you, our teen program took a pretty big hit through COVID. We were seeing that a lot of our teens were staying home to take care of their younger siblings. And so we are in the process of rebuilding that program. If there's an opportunity to do a mentoring like that, we'll do it. I do find when we were in our big building, I did find the littles didn't really want to hang out with the teenagers.
Really? That's kind of surprising.
And the teenagers didn't want to hang out with the littles, and nobody wanted to hang out with the 6th graders. Exactly. So, but the new building that we're building right now, where our old Pennsylvania Avenue clubhouse used to be, will have a dedicated teen center, and so we're going to put a dedicated teen director there to try and go out and bring those kids back in, because that's such a crucial age. If you're not doing activities, if you're not doing after school sports, which let's be honest, not everyone can do after school sports or activities or something like that, and you don't have anything to do, that's when you're seeing your increased incidence of crime and violence and stuff like that. So I think we have an opportunity to really create a difference for the teens in Hagerstown. So I'm really excited to be able to give them this dedicated space to do it in.
And the location you talked about, Pennsylvania Avenue, is that being torn to the ground and rebuilt, or is that?
Yeah.
Because I remember that's earlier when I was growing up in Hagerstown, I would see that all the time heading out that way.
Yeah, so that building was over 100 years old, and then the club had been in there since the 1970s, and my predecessor, Jim Diener, he really kept that building up himself. And so when I interviewed for this job, knowing that, I made sure that my board understood that I didn't have those same skills. So, and I think it's like a blessing and a curse, because we came in and we were able to really look at what was needed in that building. That old building had served its purpose for sure, but it had, oh my gosh, it had like leaks in several different parts.
Years old.
Yeah,
I'm sure there was
mold.
work.
It was heated with an old oil tank, like a 50-year-old oil tank. When they brought it out of the ground, it looked like, remember that thing that they took down to the Titanic that imploded? Mm-hmm. That's what the oil tank looked like when they brought it out of the ground. It was that big. It was that, and then And then it also we had some structural issues in the back. So it was beyond time. So we tore it down, and we're rebuilding a new clubhouse that will be about 22,000 square feet. So we'll gain a fair amount of square footage. We'll be able to serve more kids.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so I drive by every day. When I went by today, the steel beams are up, and when I drove by today, I saw they were starting to put the siding on the gym. So
that's exciting.
It is.
Yeah.
It's getting really exciting.
What does the process look like for parents if they wanted to enroll their kids in the Boys and Girls Club? Is it super easy?
Yeah, I mean, a couple things. So if you require our transportation, then we have to have room. That's where we run into our biggest issue, is that for the schools that we transport from, I only have 15 passenger vans. So that's where we typically run into our wait lists. And then each school is kind of assigned to a different club. And so we just sign up, we'll just sign the kids up to head to that club. So.
Mm-hmm. What are some upcoming events that you guys have?
Oh gosh. So honestly, I know in March we're going to be relaunching. For 100 years we did this thing called a steak and burger dinner. It's a national Boys and Girls Club initiative.
Yum.
100 years?
I mean, I'm sorry.
I never knew that.
Well, so the steak and burger dinner is I think traditionally what it used to be was a dinner where you would bring your club kids, and the club kids would be fed steak and the grown-ups would get the burgers or whatever.
They started this when the building went up.
The building went up. As you can probably imagine, especially if you have kids they're not interested in the steak. Like, they would rather have the burgers or the chicken tenders, whatever. Anyway.
Doesn't mean the same to kids
yeah,
as to adults.
It sure doesn't. So anyway, we had done that dinner for years, and we haven't done it in the past couple of years, but we're going to relaunch it, and we also renamed it. It's our Youth of the Year celebration. And so that'll be towards the end of March. We're very excited about that. The Youth of the Year program is a scholarship program through Boys and Girls Clubs of America. And each county or each club that has a winner, they can then progress through, they then can compete at the state level and the regional level. And at every level, they get additional scholarship funds. And then the national winner gets like a car and
my goodness.
Oh yeah, it's really a legit good program. So we're really excited to get that back up and running. And then we do a golf tournament in the fall, and then we're not really an event heavy organization. We will be cutting the ribbon on the new building in July. So we have that coming up. I'm excited about that, mostly because we have been so scattered for the past couple of years. It's just been really difficult. So, and that's really kind of some of the things that we have going on.
Awesome.
And you said about Washington County, which obviously is, I think whenever anyone thinks Washington County, Hagerstown is what first comes to mind. But I'm assuming you have programs that are out in the Hancock area.
We don't cover. We're in Washington County. We basically are in Hagerstown, and then we reach into Williamsport. Okay. So through our Jim Diener Center, which is in the Nolan Village community. So we had some programs that were outlying in the county. It was before my time. The funding went away, and we just weren't prepared to continue them. And it's a lesson learned. We don't take on programs that we can't continue beyond a grant. So
is there less of a need in those areas?
Oh no, and especially really rural areas are, it's a huge need for sure. Mm-hmm. And we see that, of course. A couple years ago we got some funding. There was a statewide initiative in Maryland called Project Bounce Back. It was through Governor Hogan's administration, and the goal of that was to put a club in every county. So, and what was interesting was where the lack of clubs were in Maryland were really out west, right? Allegheny and Garrett County, and then the Eastern Shore. Mm-hmm. So we all the clubs in Maryland, we work very closely together. We all took on different counties. Well, of course, we're the farthest west, so we took on Allegheny and Garrett. That money was also what got us into the schools to help reach more kids in the schools. The reality is, you could put in a 2 mile square whatever in Hagerstown. I have 2 or 3 clubs. Girls Inc. exists. Mm-hmm. The schools are running programs. The YMCA runs programs, and we're still not hitting every kid. It's really, we all do the best we can, but there's still kids that we're missing.
I think these programs are so important for so many reasons, obviously, and I know I bring this up a lot, but it helps me to connect. I was an educator at the lower level for years, and not all kids have the opportunities to do extracurricular and sports and can get the transportation and have the money to get there. I think these programs are so important, and I think that the work that you and your staff do is so important, and it really is very impactful. How can the community support you? What would you say to the community to say, like, hey, we need the support in this way from you?
As we look at what we really need moving forward, we're going to have this big building. It's, we're always going to run our other sites, right? We're in housing communities. We're meeting kids where they are. These school programs are awesome because, once again, we're meeting kids where they are. We're going to have this building. We're still fundraising for the building. And then also we need to outfit the building, and we need to really get to a place where we can get the kids to the club. We've really changed a lot in my 7.5 years, almost 8 years at the club. But, and I'm sure you never expected a nonprofit person to say money was what they needed. But ultimately, we have some really exciting things going on that we want to keep continuing on and really investing in the program, or either with your time, your treasure, or your talent, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Addie, thank you so much for spending time with us today on Let's Talk Tri-State. If somebody wanted to get in touch with you, where would you have them start?
So I would definitely call into the main office. It's 301-733-5422, and we can get you anywhere you need to go from there.
Thank you so much. And
Thank
thanks for
you.
what you do. And also, again, the shirt and the eyes.
Thank you.
Perfection.
You can help Katy anytime.
Yeah, obviously, I mean, look at my wardrobe today.
I wasn't going to say it, but here we are.
I love it. I love it.
Coming up, we're going to take another look at news and sports, and it's all powered by the DRB Group, the right partner for your real estate development.
If you'd like to be featured on an upcoming episode of Let's Talk Tri-State, call 717-597-9200 or email letstalk@921thegoat.com.